Hi, this is the three most common major culture shocks that I've experienced here in Korea. I'm from Canada, Toronto, and I've been living in Korea for 3 years. And these are the things that I've noticed that kind of shocked me the most. So, the first one is safety. Living in Korea, I cannot count how many times I've lost my wallet. In Toronto, I'm used to tap to pay. Tap to pay, you just take a card, you tap, and you're always holding your card. But in Korea, a lot of the machines require you to insert it, and you gotta wait around like 15 seconds or 30 seconds to process your card. So I would often forget to take it back out. So I would take my purchases and I would walk away. And especially when the stores are unmanned, which is another culture shock because if you have an unmanned store in Toronto, you're begging people to just not pay. It's like a free handout. One of the times I actually left my card plugged into the machine in a candy store. Well, it's not candy store, but like ice cream store that also sells candy, and pretty much only kids go in. And even the children would not use my card. Someone just took my card and put it on top of the machine, and I did not know where my card was for over a week because I was out jogging, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, it took me a week to retrace all my steps. And Lord and behold, my card was on top of the payment machine, unused. I checked my balance, nobody used it at all. But the reason people don't use your card or don't commit crime normally in Korea is because they got those CCTV cameras pointed, and if you do commit a crime, it's very easy to find out who did it. That's not stopping anyone in Toronto, right? People commit crime happily. There's cameras everywhere and people still commit crime. So I don't think it is the CCTV that's really the deterrent, but the culture itself. Second thing is what I stated before is that there's a lot of trust in Korea. So, like the ice cream store, or if you go to like a stationery store, it's often unmanned. In fact, I saw a flower shop in the middle of food court, and the only person that comes in is probably the owner that comes in like once every 2 weeks or something to stock up the flowers, all right? But it is in the middle of the food court, and they don't even have a payment processor. They have their bank detail, and they expect you to grab whatever you took and e-transfer the amount into the bank account. I have absolutely no idea how people can run this and be profitable. Another thing is a lot of the restaurants, they have the washrooms placed outside of the restaurant. And if you smoke, often there's a lot of smokers in Korea, they would walk out of the restaurant as a group all together. Or if you need to use the washroom, you need to go on the outside around the corner to another building to use the washroom. You know, you're trusted that you'll come back and you'll pay for your meal. And this is exactly what, Koreans do. But there is one caveat, and it is Seoul. The problem in Seoul is not that the Koreans there are not paying. It's because Seoul has a lot of tourism. And a lot of locals are starting to know that in the Western society, dine and dash is a thing. So I've been to restaurants in Seoul where obviously if you don't speak Korean, they're rude and upset, which a few of my family members have witnessed. And, I get it. It's totally justified because when the washroom's outside, when you can just walk out, people don't often come back, especially if they're just here on vacation. You never pay, you'll never be caught, and they'll never know who you are ever again. So when I walked into this restaurant in Seoul, if you're not a Korean, they actually require you to pay for your meal before you get your food. But the same restaurant, Koreans would just pay afterwards. The third thing is the hours that stores and restaurants are open, especially cafes. In Canada, obviously, there's Tim Hortons, and I know I'm used to going to work or going to school at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I am super grumpy. I need to eat some, breakfast sandwich or something and my cup of coffee. Super, super important. But when I came to Korea, my first 2 days, I would magically wake up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and I would be fully awake. I want to go get food, and I don't want to live on convenience store food, which everyone tells me, oh yeah, they're 24 hours, you can go there anytime. I want like real breakfast. I want like coffee. I want like a bagel or like a sandwich or something. What I didn't know is that in Korea, things don't open until 10 or 11 o'clock, which was so difficult to survive when you wake up at 4 in the morning and you are starving and you gotta wait 6 hours or 5 hours until your first meal. When I started working, my first job, we actually ended at 8 p.m. And where I was living, all the restaurants would close at 8 p.m. I was so shocked because how on earth am I supposed to grab dinner? There are some places that you can eat, but these places are like, more towards the drinking and the like heavy meals, like all you can eat Korean barbecue, which I really don't want to eat that every night. There are times where my coworkers and I would go and have all you can eat Korean barbecue, but even so, they close at 10 o'clock, off work at 8, and having a place that close at 10 is, when you're drinking, it's really super early and there's not enough time. If you're in a bigger city, there's a lot more places that you can eat dinner later. There's specific areas where they would open at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and it'll run all the way to like 5 in the morning. But these are special places that are not common, especially where you may live. So these are the three culture shocks that I've experienced. What about you? If you've been to Korea, if you're living in Korea, what were some of your culture shocks or some things that blew your mind coming to Korea? Comment below, and I'll see you around. Till next time.